Hello, Fargo. Fargo City Commissioner Tony Gehrig, giving you your recap for the October 23rd Fargo City Commission meeting. 4 items that I'd like to talk to you about on this agenda. Number 1 was the update for the no-sort recycling. I'll be brief with this. It's something I'm very proud of going in. I had a hand in pushing it forward. By no means was I the one pushing it forward. Our employees, Terry out there at the landfill, did a fantastic job of getting a bid from a good company to come in and do this for us at a very good price. You are spending about $3 a month if you are participating in this program, and the numbers say that you are participating. Around 80% of folks in the city of Fargo are taking part in this. That's up from the sorted. With sorted, I think it was somewhere around 67, somewhere to that percent. So around a 15% increase since we started doing this program, which is about a year or less than a year. So that's a really great trend to see. It's great because it's not just recycling for the means of recycling. We're doing it and saving a lot of money for the landfill. We're saving airspace, and that airspace is extremely valuable. So we're diverting away a lot of things that are recyclable that don't need to be put in that landfill, and we are reusing those products, and in some cases making a little bit of money, in other cases losing a little bit of money. But overall, we're saving the taxpayers tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by doing this, and that's why I'm very proud to say that I had a part in it. I oversee the utilities, which include the landfill, and so this no-sort recycling program has taken off, has been embraced by the people of Fargo, so kudos to you for doing that. And soon we will roll out phase 2, which is getting the apartments in on this as well. And that's not as easy as it sounds, because apartments have limited space for parking, limited space for their garbage, things like that. So we have to find ways to work with developers and owners to get the no-sort recycling on their property, which we will do. I'm confident we will do. Number 2 was the sidewalk waiver for Rocking Horse Farms on 52nd Avenue in South Fargo. If you know anything about Rocking Horse, it's a different concept for living. Yes, it is a housing development, but in the center of their little development is a very large circle, and on the inside of that circle are things like little farmsteads and things like that, barns and outbuildings and stuff. So it kind of gives the feel that you live in kind of a rural area when you're sitting right in the middle of Fargo. We have rules as far as sidewalks and light poles and things as that goes for developments. And, one size generally doesn't fit all. In the city of Fargo, we're struggling to find good affordable housing and different kinds of housing. And I think it's made us open our eyes a little bit to different concepts. This Rocking Horse is certainly a different and unique concept, and their concept didn't call for having a sidewalk just on that inner circle of their area because they want it to look like a farm, right? So luckily 4 out of the 5 commissioners agreed that this wasn't necessary. We don't need to have a sidewalk everywhere where it doesn't make sense. We should follow our laws and our ordinances when they make sense. We should make exceptions when they don't. And I truly believe that one size does not fit all, and that's how the other commissioners felt on this project as well. 4-1, John Strand voted against it. I understand where he's coming from. We have a process, we have laws, we have ordinances, and he felt that we should follow them all the time in this case. And the majority just disagreed, but it's fine. That's how John felt, and that's just fine. Okay, this issue is a little bit vexing to me personally. City Hall, which I'm sitting in, the old City Hall is just to my left, where all the offices are for our employees. It needs to be torn down in order to make room for the new City Hall. If we kept the existing building there, it would obstruct parking and entrances and things like that. It would just be a big empty building in the middle of our new City Hall plaza, which obviously can't happen. The thing that bothers me is when we talked about our $23.5 million City Hall, we didn't include the price of demolition, and it's no small price tag. The cost of demolition for this building would be about $800,000. That's something we should know before we start voting on building new buildings, right? We needed to also demolition Centennial Hall to have this new building, this new City Hall. That costs $400,000. The FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and the E is escaping me at this point, but $1.8 million for all the furniture and finishing for that new building that we have. That was not discussed when we talked about our $23.5 million building. So my quick math tells me that this $23.5 million building is now more like $26, $27 million. We rejected a bid for a $30 million City Hall. Dave Pepcorn and I voted against that back when I first became a commissioner, and Dave Pepcorn and I are the reason that we don't have that old Taj Mahal concept. We got instead a reduction of about $9 million on the next bid, which was fantastic. Same size building, it'll be useful, it'll be beautiful, but they just apparently didn't tell us about $3 million that needed to go in, $3.5 million that needed to go in to build that building. So the point is that we need to have a full discussion when talking about these things. My computer's about to die. I got to plug it in real quick. Bear with me. There we go. So that was, if you watch the video of the meeting, I was vexed. I was a little bit angry. And I told our city administrator that next time we do this, let's have an all-in cost. Let's have a full discussion. Let's have a real conversation with the people of Fargo. When we talk about what things cost, let's tell them what they really cost from start to finish. If we want a new city hall, okay, what's that going to cost from moving out of this city hall to moving into that city hall and being done with it? That's how families talk. When they talk about a new house or a new car or all those other things, they talk about the all-in costs. They don't break it up into little different pieces with different funds. It looks like we're hiding something, quite frankly. And I don't want to be the commissioner that supports that thing. Now, how did I vote? Well, ultimately, the city hall has to be removed. So I was put into a position where either I vote on principle, no, because I wasn't told about this cost before, or I vote yes, pragmatically, because that building has to be removed. Ultimately, this was a 5-0 vote. And there were a couple of unhappy commissioners, and there should have been. And if I find something like this in the future, it will not happen. But this is something that I'm learning from, and I will get the all-in cost next time. That I will promise you. So, 5-0 votes to demolish the old city hall, which, by the way, is completely unusable. It can't be turned into a daycare center. It can't be turned into a homeless shelter. It needs work. It needs a lot of work. It needs $10 million worth of work just to make it livable. And the reason we didn't do that work is we knew we were going to demolish it. So that's that. The last thing is the election task force. This is another discussion about the election task force. Ultimately, no action was taken. Tony Gehrig made a motion that action was either going to be taken by the end of the year, by the end of 2017, or no action would be taken by the city commission. And that is what I think should happen. If there are residents out there that truly want to see a change in how our city does business, how we elect officials, how our mayor gets hired, how many commissioners there are, award system versus an at-large system, all those things. We have received almost no phone calls and emails about this. There has been no outcry for a change. The Fargo Forum has written quite a few articles about it, but even with those articles, no one is reaching out to us. So if you're sitting in my chair, you're thinking, well, I get a lot of phone calls about no-sort recycling, about the diversion, and about taxes and property taxes and all those other things. Those are the things people seem to care about. Well, no one is crying foul with our current system as far as people getting elected. So it's my understanding that most people are happy with it. Most people can understand it. It's easy to understand. And the alternatives, like approval voting, are not good. They're not any better. So that's where we're at. If you want to see a change, ultimately, I think you should push for an initiated measure produced by the people of Fargo. So that's kind of my stance on that issue. And I have offered changes that I would support, but none of those changes have been brought forward. So that would be your recap for the October 23rd Fargo City Commission meeting. If you have any questions, please give me a call, give me an email, and by all means, share this video. And please keep watching how your Fargo City Commissioners are spending your tax dollars. Thank you.